Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rushcliffe Borough Council's Cabinet meeting. I'd just like to remind everybody that the Cabinet meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, and a recording of the meeting will be available afterwards on the YouTube channel. In addition, under the Local Authorities Regulations of 2012, other people may film, record, tweet or blog from this meeting. The use of any such images or sound recordings is not under the Council's control. Just like to mention as well that item 10 is a restricted item. The public will be exempt from attending that. Therefore, the live stream on YouTube will be switched off prior to the commencement of that item. So let's go into the agenda proper, and item 1, apologies for absence. I think we're all in attendance. We're all here. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest, either pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest from anybody? None. Item 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of July. Can I sign those as a true and correct record? Can somebody move them? Second, all in favour? Thank you. And so let's move straight on to item 4. Do we have any citizens' questions? No citizens' questions. So item 5, opposition group leaders' questions. We have 2. And the first one, I'd like to invite Councillor Jen Walker, please. If you'd like to take a seat and put your question to Councillor Upton.
Good evening. Thank you. So my question is, why was the strategic distribution and logistics preferred approach not part of the original consultation in January 2023? And how much will this new consultation cost the council? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Upton.
Good evening, and thank you for your question. It's very appropriate given my report later on in this meeting. The strategic distribution and logistics preferred approach consultation was not part of the original consultation in January this year, because the logistics study was only completed across the whole of the Greater Nottingham strategic plan area by specialist consultants in August last year. And officers then needed a significant amount of time to carry out various site assessments, which was known to take beyond January this year to complete. So there was benefit in going out to the consultation in January this year without the strategic distribution and logistics, rather than wait, to try and keep the overall plan preparation timetable. This has proved the case, and analysis of the responses received to the January consultation has progressed. The new proposed consultation, which is subject to approval by Cabinet this evening, will not incur any additional costs to the council beyond those budgeted for in using existing planning policy resources needed for the statutory requirement to review our local development plan.
Thank you for that. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Walker?
Yeah, just a follow up. So was this always the intention? Was it always meant to kind of go this way, or was this second consultation kind of done after the fact, after January? Was it decided to do it after January?
Councillor Upton.
Thank you. I can't hand on heart say it was a plan maybe 12 or 18 months ago. These things evolve, but as you probably are aware, the review of our local development plan is a long process. It probably takes 3 to 4 years in total. So we do set a timeline for the various milestones that we will reach as we go through the plan. Personally, I think to consult on everything in one consultation would be far too big and complicated exercise. So myself, I'm content that we did the housing and the employment consultation in January this year, and then the strategic development and logistics has followed on. To answer your direct question, no, it wasn't planned as such, but these things involve. And sometimes we go back to a second round of consultation, and that may well happen in the future. At the moment, I can't give anybody a realistic time when the plan will be completed and ready for its final review by the government inspector. I would hope springtime 2025, but you never know. Things change as we go along. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. And second question is from Councillor Birch, if you'd like to take a seat.
Good evening. Rushcliffe Independent submitted a motion to attempt to fix Bingham's parking problems on 23rd of July this year.
Sorry, can I just stop you a second, Councillor Birch? That's not the question I've got in front of me.
Yeah, there's the question I have here. Has there been a bit of a mix-up? Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Birch, the question that we've got starts from the words, could you please inform? So is the bit before part of the question? It is short, yeah.
Yep. Are we okay with that?
Okay.
Yep. So Rushcliffe Independent submitted a motion to attempt to fix Bingham's parking problems on 23rd of July this year. This motion will be heard at the next full council meeting. Could you please inform residents how many times the Conservative Party have ever brought motions to this council with regards to Bingham's parking?
Just a moment. Yeah, because you're
just
referring
point-
to a motion that nobody knows about.
Just a point of clarification. The first part of your question refers to something that's not yet been published. So it's not actually happened yet. So that's why your question is actually from the point, could you please inform residents how many times the Conservative Party would have brought motions to council with regards to Bingham's parking? Okay.
Right, so the question is to Councillor Inglis, so if you can disregard that first section and just answer the question from, could you please inform, as we have been informed previously.
I will. Okay. Well, thank you for the question. I'll initially respond to ask you why the Conservative Party, which is a national party, would bring a motion to Rushcliffe. But I do assume you actually mean our local Conservative group.
Of course.
Okay. Well, as a leading group, we will not bring a motion. We would bring a report on such a matter, as we have in particular on this cabinet meeting this evening. So therefore, there's no motions being brought to the council with regards to being parking from us or from any other party, in fact.
Okay, do you have a supplementary?
I do, yes. Thank you. But of course, the motion would have meant it could have been discussed. I'm sure we all appreciate that. Given that in 2019, the Conservative Party, including the Rushcliffe Conservative Party, held a majority on Rushcliffe Borough Council, Bingham Town Council, Nottinghamshire County Council, and Newark and Sherwood District Council. In other words, all four councils that could conceivably be necessary to help build a new car park. Why did the Rushcliffe Conservatives not seek a solution to the car parking crisis in Bingham when it had the chance?
Councillor Inglis.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of history with the provision of this car park and the feasibility of it all. It's something that Bingham Town Council actually took full ownership of. It wasn't, we weren't invited to that party.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind just switching the microphone off, please? Thank you. Thanks. Right, that's end of opposition questions. Let's move on to item 6, and this relates to revenue and capital budget monitoring. I'm going to ask Councillor Verdi, could you introduce it, please?
Thank you, Chairman. So this report presents the budget position for revenue and capital as at the 30th of June 2023. So this is the first financial report for this financial year, and given the various financial challenges that the council faces is a relatively positive one in terms of both the council's capital and revenue position. The report has been presented to the corporate overview group with no significant issues arising when it was taken to the group. With regards to revenue, there is an overall revenue budget efficiency position of £0.55 million, and the key issues relating to this are on pages 8 of the papers at table 1. Whilst there are some adverse variances, in particular as a result of a one-off legal property dispute, our streetwise operations and also the crematorium, action is being taken to ensure that the financial profile for both of these transformation programs and projects improve. In the case of streetwise, reducing the hire vehicle charges is something that we're looking at as soon as possible. And for the crematorium, increased usage and revisiting charges are being looked at, particularly given the costs of energy which have been rising. And we do have further references in paragraphs 4.1.2 regarding more information on the importance of achieving our transformation programme. The report also, in paragraphs 4.9 to 10, also discusses the pay and inflationary pressures which the council currently faces and the cost of living crisis, which is and will affect our medium-term financial strategy and the budgetary planning process for next year. But on a positive note, our business rate income in particular is higher than budgeted, which is helping to offset some of these adverse variances. Moving on to capital, page 9 and paragraph 4.7 focuses on some of the key variances with regards to our capital programs, and there is an estimated underspend position of £6.457 million. Particularly challenging, that's broken up into a number of different areas, but particularly challenging is the development schemes to support registered housing providers. So that represents 2.723 million underspend. And there is also £1 million with regards to a traveller site, which we have a provision for, which hasn't been yet utilised. There is a small item under special expenses coding paragraph 4.5 and appendix E, which shows a position of 6.5 variance, and that's an overspend due to costs being incurred with regards to a traveller encampment. So finally, it is early in the financial year, and things will no doubt change, and the council's finances still face many risks and challenges, but it's imperative that we keep control of our finances, which we are doing, and remain resilient and ensure our sustainability is managed. We do continue to have pressures and our resources are under pressure, but I think overall the report does summarise a very positive position, So it is recommended that Cabinet approves this report, noting the expected revenue budget efficiency, which I highlighted, 0.55 million, and proposals to earmark this for cost pressures, which is covered in paragraph 4.1. And also to note the capital budget efficiency of 6.457 million to date, and the expected outturn rather for the special expenses of £6.5 thousand. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. So you're moving that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Happy to second. Obviously, Councillor Verdi's gone into a lot of details reports. I won't repeat that. I think it's just worth saying how important it is that we have these reports and we properly scrutinise, which I know we have for our process. We all know what's happening to councils up and down the country, all in the news about to their financial position, but we do have a strong position here at the council, which is credit to the officers and to all the councillors who play their part in that. I think for members of the public reading, it might think it looks a bit messy with figures moving about. As Councillor Verdi has said, we do set a budget at the start of the year, but which things change in terms of real life where we are and projects moving. But the report also gives full details to where we currently are with those projects, and I'm very confident we're going to deliver what we set out this year. And I'd say with all the financial pressures we're under, with inflation and cost of living that we know our residents are facing, I think we are in a very strong position and probably envy of many councils across the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? In which case it has been moved and seconded. Can I have all in favour, please? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Councillor Verdi. On to item 7, and this relates to the Greater Nottingham Strategic Plan. I'll turn to Councillor Upton, please.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a comparatively short report of 7 pages, but a lot of detailed information in the appendices, 383 pages of that. So as ever on some of my planning reports, there's an awful lot of text in the details, but I'll try and focus on the 7 pages of the report, if I may. Broxtowe, Gedling and Rushcliffe Borough Councils, along with the Nottingham City Council, are preparing a revised Greater Nottingham Strategic Plan, which will set out new policies and proposals, which, when adopted, will, for Rushcliffe, replace our local plan Part 1 core strategy that was adopted way back in 2014. In January this year, the councils, that's all 4 of them, undertook a preferred approach consultation focusing on housing and employment need, and the results of this are still being analysed. The councils are now seeking approval to undertake an additional consultation for 6 weeks, focusing on strategic distribution and logistics. As I previously stated this evening, it was not considered appropriate to combine the strategic distribution and logistics consultation. It's quite a mouthful, isn't it, actually, with that carried out in January this year, because the report from the specialist consultants was not received until August last year, and officers then needed a significant amount of time to carry out the various site assessments before the consultation. To combine the 2 consultations would have significantly delayed the plan preparation timetable, as I've mentioned earlier. The consultants' report concluded that there was a residual need for 131 to 147 hectares of strategic logistics land across the wider study area of the 4 councils, which includes Ashfield, Mansfield and Newark and Sherwood from the logistics point of view. So a call for sites exercise was undertaken in autumn last year, and 10 sites were identified in Rushcliffe, and the details of these are set out in the Appendix 2. A 2-stage assessment was then undertaken using specific criteria, and the outcome of that was that 2 sites were considered as possible within Rushcliffe and 7 within Broxtowe. The 2 sites within Rushcliffe were the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station site and the Nottingham Gateway site, which is adjacent to the A453 and immediately south of the Fareham development site. Following detailed assessment, it is proposed that 2 sites are allocated for strategic distribution and logistics, namely 1, the Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station site for up to 180,000 square metres, and 2, the former Beneley coal distribution point within Broxtowe Borough Council's area. The Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station site already has planning consent for 810,000 square metres of employment and related development following adoption of the local development order quite recently. And this includes up to 180,000 square metres of storage and distribution. The Nottingham Gateway site within Rushcliffe is not considered suitable for distribution and logistics development for the reasons set out in the background paper in Appendix 2. Therefore, the next step is that, subject to approval of all 4 councils, the consultation will take place in late September or early October this year, and the responses will be part of preparing the final draft of the revised strategic plan. I therefore recommend that Cabinet approves the recommendations set out in item 2 on page 1 of the report, namely A, approves the Greater Nottingham Strategic Distribution and Logistics Preferred Approach insofar as it relates to Rushcliffe Borough for public consultation, and B, delegates authority to the Director of Development and Economic Growth to approve any minor changes required to the preferred approach document and the evidence base prior to consultation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Inglis.
Thank you. Well, strategic distribution and logistics buildings, or large sheds as they tend to be known as, can be very emotive. An issue as where they are to be located and their effect on the surrounding landscape. Nevertheless, a modern economy needs these facilities, and a review of our local plan part 1 includes strategic distribution and logistics. Specialist consultants have assisted us in this area of work and concluded there is need for more provision in the Greater Nottingham Strategic Plan area. So a call for the sites was undertaken in autumn 2022, and following assessment, the 2 sites were being put forward for the public consultation, as Councillor Upton alluded to, Rushcliffe-on-Soar and the Bentley Coal Distribution Depot. So we support the Rushcliffe-on-Soar site as it's part of the Freeport, which has recently been granted a local development order, or LDO. So I'm happy to second the proposal to progress to the 6-week public consultation, as in the recommendations of the report, with our continued aim of attracting major business and investment and employment into Rushcliffe. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Inglis. Anybody have any other questions or comments? I think this is very valuable, in promoting employment for both Rushcliffe and obviously Greater Nottingham as well. So I think this will be very beneficial to everyone in Rushcliffe, whether you are a resident or indeed seeking employment in Rushcliffe. So, any other questions or comments? No. So it has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please. Unanimous. Thank you. Item 8 is an update on car parking in Bingham. So I'll turn back to Councillor Inglis again, please.
Thank you. Okay, what I will start out by saying is this report is excellent. It's very detailed and comprehensive in providing a full update to understanding the history and to the current position of the car parking in Bingham. So I don't propose to list all the details that are clearly laid out within that report. It does explain that parking provision is a statutory responsibility to the County Council, and that Bingham Town Council has full ownership of their long-term car park, and that Rushcliffe Borough Council owns and operates 3 public town centre car parks with 165 spaces, which are operated by the Notts County Council. As I said earlier, we weren't invited to the party. However, in July 2022, Bingham Town Council approached Rushcliffe Borough Council for some project support to help their long-term ambition arising from their 2015 parking strategy and the 2018 Bingham Master Plan to a perceived need for additional car park for Bingham on a potential site owned by them. Rushcliffe agreed to help with £25,000 funding and offer support. This partnership work has been ongoing since then. What is clear from this report is that significant challenges with key stakeholders need to be overcome, especially Network Rail, who will be a key factor to gaining their support in progressing an ambition to a new long-stay car park and for a business plan to the viability of such a project, when surprisingly, and also appreciating the car park issues, the data suggests in 4.4 that Bingham already has twice as many parking places per resident than in West Bridgford and more than Cotgrave, Radcliffe and Keyworth. The recommendation of the strategy group being formed is definitely a way forward in consolidating Notts County Council, Rushcliffe Borough Council and Bingham Town Council, working together to find solutions, both short-term and long-term, to maximise the parking provision across the whole town for residents, workers and visitors. A lot of work has already been done by Bingham Town Council, and I really would like to single out the Town Clerk, Jo Riddle, who, in recognising her drive and all the work she's done to date. I'd also like to thank Leanne Ashmore and Cara Prendergast for such a comprehensive report. That's taken a lot of time to prepare. The bottom line is there is no easy solution or answers, and there's many hurdles to overcome. The purpose of this report is to be able to take the project further by accepting the recommendations set out in 9 A to E, to come back to Cabinet with the outcomes. So I'm happy to support and propose all those recommendations. And do you want me to read those out?
I think if you can just take them that you are moving the recommendations as set out on in paragraph 2. So that's A, B, C, D and E. I think everybody is clear
Yeah, that's right.
as to what is being moved. So
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Inglis. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brandon.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I'd reiterate Councillor English's view that this is a very comprehensive and enormously helpful paper. So thank you to the officers for setting all that out so clearly. As I think I said in the previous Cabinet in answer to a question on this matter, this is a complex issue and requires the positive engagement of a number of partners in order to make it happen. And I think this paper sets out and puts paid to the notion that no work has been done to date and that this is a matter that hasn't been considered to be of importance by a number of local partners, which indeed it has, and a lot of work has been done, as Councillor Inglis has set out. I think we're now entering an era of positive cooperation with all the stakeholders that are necessary to bring this project forward, and I think that's really to be welcomed. And gives us an opportunity to really move forward on this issue. There are some key partners where problems still remain, and there are a lot of complications in terms of where this might be, how we might bring forward the site, access to the site, and the particular needs and concerns of Network Rail and East Midlands Rail to ensure that they are satisfied and they can come with us on this project. So there are no easy solutions, but this paper sets out some really positive ways forward, some clear action points for us to agree. And I would like, therefore, to positively support the recommendations of the paper to Cabinet this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And just to touch on some of your earlier comments, and Councillor Inglis said there were many hurdles to overcome, and with a new membership in Bingham, we have some new borough councillors, and there are some new councillors on Bingham Town Council, and I'm very confident that the new people joining some of the current or previous councillors, I think everybody is now rowing in the same direction, and there is a common positive aim to drive the issues regarding car parking and bringing forward now. So I am confident that this will now take us forward. It will be able to look at all the different aspects of car parking, but also not just to assess the viability of the site that is being listed in the agenda, but also there's some slight reference, and I think we should recognise that the town clerk is looking at other options as well that can be pursued. So, you know, if for any reason this site did not happen, then we need to be looking at other options and searching for other sites, and indeed that is taking place, and that needs to be part of the work of this working group as well, so that you know, we're not constrained. We need to be flexible to ensure that we find the very best solutions for Bingham. So I really do welcome this, and I am confident that all 4 borough councillors who represent Bingham now are all very much in favour of this and all working very collaboratively and positively together. So I think this will be a great piece of work. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Councillor Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think just to really endorse the report, it's such a comprehensive report that I think puts to bed some mistruths that have been put out there by certain people around the Bingham area. And, you know, reading through the options there, it's a very grown up and sensible way to go about in terms of the group we put together to look at the options pragmatically and to go way forwards. And I just want to place on record, I think it, as you've said in the report, you know, last year under the leadership of Councillor Williams when he was town mayor, in terms of the want to take this forward and approach the borough council, and obviously the leadership that's now there with Councillor Williams there, and obviously Councillor Bird as mayor, and obviously Councillor Regan and Councillor Williams have come here tonight to show their support. The only 2 councillors around that area are here to hear this item and to show their support on behalf of residents. I think it's really welcome, and I'm sure by looking at this pragmatically we can find the solution. I think it's also worth saying, a lot of people say out there the borough council, town council can sort this straight away. As we've shown, there are other stakeholders at play, and we've got to make sure we do the right thing and not potentially put a lot of work in, promise residents something we can't deliver, and then fall down the last hurdle down to by, you know, not going through the proper process, engaging with stakeholders. So really welcome it, and like I say, I'm sure we can if we'll work together and get a solution that the residents want to see in Bingham. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, as well as welcoming excellent cooperation with Bingham Town Council, the County Council will be involved as well at some stage on the sidelines. So it's important that we do recognise, as Councillor Brannan said, that all parties are now all working together with the same aim. So that's great. Any other questions or comments? Nope. In which case it has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed for that. So I now turn to item 9. I mentioned at the beginning about the exclusion of the public. So I'll move that under Regulation 21(1)(b) of the Local Authorities Regulations 2000, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. The reasons for moving that is there may be commercially sensitive information divulged. I will move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. That's passed. So we'll now switch off the live stream.